transition.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
roll call.
Bradshaw.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Palmer.
Here.
Porter. Here. Sullivan.
Here.
Walden.
Here. Approval of minutes. Motion to approve minutes on February 4th, 2026, council meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the, February 4th.
I'll second. Okay, roll call.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Nelson. Palmer.
Yes.
Porter.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Walden.
Yes.
Approval of bills. Motion to approve payment of bills as they appear on the warrant sheets.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
There was no questions about that one, for
No, I didn't.
Walden.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Porter.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Okay, public comments.
I
Yes, sir.
do. One complaint. My neighbor spent $2,000 on cement sidewalk, and the city should have paid half of it. And then I heard comments about the Second Street house, where that man poured sidewalk. That's behind the food pantry, if you don't know. Well, he took an old house with new siding, windows, roof, doors, everything on it. Made a nice looking house out of it. And I don't know whether he got paid or not, but he should have received the money for his sidewalks. And that's ridiculous, 'cause, well, like my neighbor is probably the best citizen in town. Every minute of the day, that ambulance is ready to roll. Between him and Herbie, the fire trucks, ambulance, everything is ready. And incidentally, you guys all work, so you don't see it. That's his wife that rolled up all the lights over there, pulled the posts, cleaned them up, put it away. How do you get a citizen better than that? And then deny him his half of the sidewalk? Ridiculous. I'm ashamed of all of you. 'Cause you should have, it should have been paid for. And that's all I can say, and I think you guys still owe him that money.
I agree with you, Bob,
You don't,
but, I mean, I don't know the procedure, if you gotta ask permission, how it works, but and I know the guy you're talking about over there behind the food pantry, he didn't know about it until it was brought to his attention, and we did, the council gave him some money.
they did.
I agree with you 100%.
I'm glad to hear that, but, that still don't put $1,000 in Alex's pocket.
Right,
And,
and you did it probably more for safety for his kids and the kids that's over there that ride their
He
bikes up
did,
and down that
because-
thing, I understand.
his, son Henry and Jocelyn on the other side of him, they ride up and down, but they're not allowed out the street unless the parents with them.
But there is a procedure, and maybe one of you guys up here that's been on longer, tell me how it works, that, you know, you gotta come forward and then get their approval or whatever.
I brought it up at the last meeting because we talked. And I was told that it has to be pre-approved and a certain concrete, contractor has to be used in order for it to be approved. And, you know, as far, I didn't know what the parameters were on it. I actually talked to Jared whenever, and he hadn't started pouring his sidewalk yet. It was framed up, it was ready to pour. I said, I don't know exactly, but I'll bring it up to the board and see if we can't get half of this paid for. I thought I was doing my due diligence as an alderman by helping out somebody in my ward.
You were.
And, how long ago was this concrete done?
6 weeks ago,
6 weeks ago?
yeah.
Okay. And who actually poured the concrete?
Their name was Big and Small,
Okay, I don't know,
out of Decatur.
I don't know who we're supposed to be, I was told by the street superintendent that it has to be a certain contractor that
Well,
pours the
that's not
concrete.
right.
Well,
On my
that's the way I
drive-
was told at the last meeting. I
On
mean,
my
you can-
driveway,
You can look at the video of the last meeting and see that I brought it up, and this is what I was told by the street superintendent, is this is the parameters of being paid for the sidewalk. And he is the one that decides whether or not a person gets that.
right, well, he told me I wouldn't get my money, which mine is of no concern, cause then I would have to do the conflict of interest.
Yeah.
But, there was the one guy in Pana was on my cement for my driveway
Mhm.
was almost $2,000 higher than the guy that did it. And another contractor he was unsure, but he was gonna be a little bit more than the guy that poured it, and a lot less than the first bid I got.
I think there's just some confusion on what the program is, how it works,
Well, I didn't know we were supposed to use a different cement company.
yeah, he never did tell me what company we actually use, I don't know that, I don't know. He didn't say, but he said that we use the same one throughout town if we use the 50/50 program. And I didn't ask who it was, and I was told the reasoning was they didn't want 18 different contractors pouring different sizes and different colors of sidewalk, where you have different shapes and all through town, and that was the reasoning why they were using the same contractor for that. Okay, that's what I.
Nobody ever told me anything like that.
Yeah.
Cause he probably wouldn't have cared who poured it, just whoever was open at that time.
Yeah. Is there an actual ordinance for the 50/50 program? I don't know how it's worded, I haven't looked it up, but,
I believe there was the ordinance about having to get that pre-approved.
having it pre-approved.
Yeah.
But not on the contractor that you use.
That I don't remember,
I needed to look it up and I did not.
but regardless, it's gotta be pre-approved before they can do that.
Yeah, you can't come after the work is done, you can't come back for the 50/50 program.
I never heard of anything like that.
Well, I don't, I'm just going by what he says,
Yeah.
you know. I'd have to read the ordinance to know for sure.
Well, I knew none of mine would be paid, cause Darren already told me, he said, I'm not paying for sidewalk to nowhere, because down Billy Blazes and Holmes's, they took theirs out. But the next 3 houses all had cement, and on his side, that was all crumbling up and it was bare rocks. And, I seen the kids' bicycles slide around on it. So
On the back side of it, Bob, just for your sake, I was like, we need to let the public know what the parameters of the 50/50
you
are.
do,
And we need to set it in stone, that you have to do this, you have to do this, and you have to do this in order to get the 50/50 program. Otherwise, we'll just have everybody in town coming. You know what I mean? And
no, not really.
Well.
To me, it's shameful for you guys not to be writing him a check.
Well, that's hindsight, because, 6 weeks afterwards, if the ordinance says, and you being on the zoning board should have already knew what the ordinance was.
Well, I didn't, but there's nothing under cement that I have to deal with. You can cement your whole yard, and I don't have a say-so about it, other than as long as you're between your stakes, why, do what you want.
Yeah.
Cement and, handicap ramps are all fine, just whatever the people need to take care of them. And, well, I just wanted to state my case, and I'm ashamed of you guys for not giving him a little consideration. So, go right ahead with your meeting.
I will just want to say, I'm here actually to give some accolades to Seth. I hired him back when I was mayor, and I think he's been wonderful police chief. Him and I have talked privately since he's turned in his resignation, but I just wanted to state for the record now. I know he ruffled a lot of feathers at the beginning when he first came in, and I couldn't decide if I was in a back the blue country or in the liberal part of Chicago. And I told that to the 3 people that kept calling me. So, like I said, Seth, you've done a wonderful job. I was proud and honored to hire you, and I think you'll do great things for the county. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You definitely are a great guy, so an officer. And so is Kevin. I know he kind of came in at the last part of my term, so I think that he'll be great on whatever you guys decide. So that's it.
And we thank you, Seth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more? Communications from the mayor, I have nothing at the moment. So we'll move on to the city attorney.
Okay, we got a couple of items, one having to do with 213 Sarah Street, the David Riley house, but that's an agenda item, so we'll get to that a little later on. The other one is 101 Chestnut, down here. I know there's, obviously a continuing need to move on that. We got the lawsuit that's been pending for a while against the guy who owned it when we started this process, but he sold it right after he got sued, or sold it, he gave it to this guy who's in, Maryland, I believe. And, the guy in Maryland, we've been dealing with since then to get a deed from him to Jim Dial so that, we wouldn't have to sue. He did send a deed to Jim Dial, but something was amiss with it and it couldn't be recorded. So I got in touch with him, said send a new one. Well, and every time I contact him, he's pretty rude. But he did say he would do it, and then he didn't. So I've now filed a lawsuit against him, and I've got him, service is underway. I've informed him of the suit. And I told him he will be defaulted if he doesn't show up by the 18th of March. Hopefully this will get the fire lit under him to actually send that deed, and we won't have to do it, but if not, then on the 18th I'll get a judgment against him, assuming he's been served by then, and we can just proceed with that. But that's the status on that property. Any questions on that? And that's my report for now.
Okay, we'll move on to treasurer.
Yep, I have several things. First, I'm gonna talk about the budgets, what we talked about in the meeting. On the legal, the other professional is, it was for the audit, so I did move that up to the audit line. So that dropped that down to $687.50. And then the miscellaneous expense, that was part of the insurance, so I moved it to, the insurance line, so that dropped that down to $95.23.45. And Kim had asked about the non-home, and that was for the 1% tax levy. So that's what that savings account was. And the two savings account me and Darren were talking about are two different ones. They're separate accounts, so, the 1% was not going in with the other, so. There's that on that, and then I have, does anybody else have any questions on that?
What were the numbers that you spent for other professions in?
The other was for the audit, and it was $29,062.50. And then on the miscellaneous expense, city insurance was $52,137.
Should have went here, 52,000.
Yeah, 137. And then once we start going through those, we'll update the final one before we actually, that's why I wasn't gonna reprint these. And not everything's on here yet. Obviously, we have a couple more months left. Then I have some CDs that's coming up for renewal. Actually, 3 of them have matured, so we need to decide on what we wanna do with those. We want to put them back in CDs, or what, one of them's that, MFT money, that $335,000 that we put over. It was for a year, so I called both banks, and 12 months out on the highway is 3.79%, with 6 months being 0.03%, and then the one at town was, 3.5% for either way.
What are the 3 of them at now?
One's uptown and 2's out the highway. And then also, I was gonna ask, we have that non-home money that we have in the savings, like 1.2 million. Thinking about maybe taking 600,000 of that and putting in a CD to make some money. Doing like a year and then to a CD to make some money on it.
So that's roughly about half of it.
Yeah. That'd be, I mean, it'd be a little bit more in the savings, but yeah, it'd be roughly about half.
So for this, can we do all 4 of those tonight, or will they have to be kicked over and put on the agenda for next month to vote on?
Usually when I bring them, they just stay at my discretion.
Put them on the agenda.
I think that the treasurer has that discretion to do that, is,
So we're good.
yeah,
Take-
unless the council wants to weigh in on it, I think.
So basically,
Do they have any problems with me
Okay, cool.
doing what needs to be done to
Yeah,
get
Jeff.
the CDs renewed?
So are we gonna keep them at the same place?
Do we have to take
Like
a vote?
2 at there,
I
1
don't think
here?
so, no.
Well, whatever, I mean, the interest rate, if we do the 12 months, interest rate's better out on the highway, for 3.79%.
It's 3.79, but I thought you said 9 months.
12 months, 6 months and 12 months, so there's no 9 months.
Oh, I thought you said 9. I wrote down 9. I was making my own. 12 months and at 6 months it was what?
Cause they've all matured already, or these 3 have matured already. I'm sorry, what was it? Yeah, 3.5,
3.5 or?
6 or 12.
I would say the new one, whichever one's higher, just put it there,
Okay,
unless it has any.
No, it's good.
I think that'd be fine. That'd be the fairest way to do it, that way we're not picking a bank, we're just picking a rate.
okay.
So are we keeping,
The other ones where they're at.
Where they're
Just
at.
have them redo them, just have to be redone because they're matured, so. Alrighty, I'll get that taken care of this weekend. And then, let's see, our ratings been on home. I've already talked to Janet about CTI security code, my agencies, I think that's all I have.
Anything from the local person?
I got a couple. Darren gave me an estimate, and I gave one to Bill. The overhead door out there at the city shed got hit with tobacco. I think, Jack was driving it, what I understand. And I'll pass them around. One of them's for 1,800, just replace the panel that got damaged, and one for 35 to replace the whole door. So Bill's supposed to get with the insurance company, so I don't know if we need to vote on which way we wanna do it, or what, or if Bill already took care of it, or?
I have not taken care of it, cause I don't know if you went decided 2 panels or
Right.
all new door.
So we're submitting that to the insurance then?
As soon as we decide on
Yeah.
2 panels or, I don't know how much is it?
Isn't there a
1800,
time limit that you have to submit?
35.
I was thinking it was 30 days and I'll have to look at the time.
I thought it was less.
Yeah, it was 30 days, but.
Yes, Gary.
Did you
Yeah.
see your deductible?
I did see the bottom panel, it is in.
When does the, do you think the whole door?
That's $500.
One thing with the whole door that's been there since I've been.
$3,500, I don't know.
So, I mean, I don't know how bad it is.
Because every small thing we turn in, we're gonna pay for it.
That's what I
Say
keep saying.
$1,600 now for
We've already turned over.
Right.
Yeah,
replacement
we already
panel,
put some stuff in this, so I wouldn't do it.
I mean, we.
but I haven't actually went out there and checked the whole thing, but I did see
I
a
would
bottom
say I
panel
wouldn't turn
and
it in.
stuff.
I mean, it's, I mean, did you say you had or hadn't had a chance to look at it?
I see the bottom 2 panels that are dented in,
I mean, is it,
but the door's been there since the building's been there, so. There you go.
me personally, I don't think we should turn this into insurance.
That's up to,
I mean, for $3,500, we're gonna pay $500 or whatever we're gonna pay anyway.
all right.
And I'm sure city insurance is like home insurance.
He gave me a bring it up about
Easy
the
discussion.
insurance plan.
Did Darren say which idea he was leaning more towards?
No.
I mean, if it's just a matter of 2 panels on the city door, it's half the money. If we're gonna pay it out of pocket, why pay for a whole door if we don't have to?
It's just probably the age of the toilet.
Do what?
He wants to replace that building.
Yeah, fix it, I was gonna say that
Yeah.
building at some point's gonna need.
Yeah, 'cause it's gonna freeze.
Yeah. There, let's see those Kim.
We vote on,
Well, we can't add it to the.
Not an agenda
Yeah.
item, so, yeah, but if the city's just gonna take care of it themselves, then I think that's just what you can do.
and I had one more, the 2 cars, I know we talked about this before, the 2 cars up here, it's been sitting on Main Street for a year and a half. Somebody came up to me and asked me when they're gonna get moved, I told them the lady can't find her keys to move them. And, you know, there's more bird nests in there now than there was 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, so.
Problem with that is that you can't just pick her out, you gotta go around
Right.
town and hit everybody else too,
I didn't know
so.
since it's a public roadway and.
They're all on-
Plow and,
They're all on public
Wow, right.
roadways. I mean, if it's in the snow route, you can tow them during snow season. I mean, we put that out there in snow route, so you can tow them then. Just cause it's affecting the snow
Right.
plow, but can't
I've
just,
explained it to this person.
yeah, I get it. I'm just saying, if you're gonna, I mean, if you're gonna tow those, I would look at finding everybody else that has vehicles parked that aren't running or moved in X, Y, and Z, 'cause if not, you're just asking for
She's got the alley.
trouble.
Not very good either. She's been throwing.
That
There's an
alley's
ordinance
not
for
hers.
the cars anyway, so they all should be moved if not
That alley,
up to
that
date.
alley hers, or is that
Well,
John Kells?
where that ice is, that's all the.
That is, yeah, but, I mean, you can't park in there, you'll be blocked alley anyway.
You can fine her for expired registration per the ordinance.
I just told the person I bring it up.
Well, that'd be something we could work on, Kevin.
I mean,
I even put out last year, I put on Facebook last year that all the vehicles needed to get up-to-date registration. If they didn't operate, then they'd be off the road. I don't think anybody listened to it, but essentially, I put it out there.
no, that's what I told her, we can't do nothing.
Yeah,
Were you doing it?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. I actually have a general question, and there may only be a couple people here, but Derek actually may be able to answer this better. So, is there a reason why all of our Ameren accounts are separated out instead of just having like a city Ameren one? And the reason I'm asking is because I noticed while I was signing the bills, every one of those individual Ameren accounts pays a separate fee. So we're paying $32 for each, a customer fee on every single one of those Ameren accounts.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like that for as long as I've been on, you know, on
It
the
has.
council, and my guess is because of maybe how it's paid, like, some is, I mean, I guess theoretically it's all paid out of GRF, but you have some that's paid out of the streets fund, some that's paid out of police, some paid out of the administration.
But we pay for
Some's paid out
street.
of parks,
Parks, yeah.
Well,
some's paid out of waste,
Cause I was wondering though, but like say
some's
like
paid out
our
of water.
Casey's bill, we separate that, you know, we pay one balance. And
Yeah,
then you separate the lines in.
it's probably
I
just
think,
because
is
it's
it
always
because
been
they
like
have
that.
their own meter?
So they all
That's
have,
what, I think that's why.
so they all have meter, we get it's $8 per meter fee, and then it's a $32 customer fee. I counted 11 Ameren accounts that we're paying $32 per account.
We have 2 meters up at the police station,
There's one for gas and one for electric.
and you're probably paying for both of those?
Yeah. They're separate. Yeah, cause I wondered why we don't
Well,
have
it used
just,
to be, I thought they said because it was separated at one time for police and then city hall, 'cause that's when the city hall took care of it. I don't know, that's what,
okay.
I just always known it to be separate, cause I mean, I can remember starting out, you see all these Ameren bills, and it seems like they all had different due dates too, and,
Yeah, they're scattered.
yeah.
I think it's because, they all have their separate meters.
Okay. I was
And that's
just
probably the $30 is the meter charge.
Well, there's $8 meter charge and
On top of the
32.
32.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe be able to call them and ask
I can
nicely
tell you that's cheap
Yeah.
to get removed.
to, no. I had gas over on Illinois Street, in my
Yeah.
shed, well, then they started charging me commercial rate, 80 a month for meter. Yeah, that's on
No.
top of your
Yeah.
bill.
Yeah.
I never paid $80 for gas.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah,
curious
I
if
think
somebody
that's what it
knew
is.
before we wasted
That's
our time.
unreal.
Well, me too. I do have something else that, I needed to bring up that came from the Illinois Gaming Board. They overpaid us by $928.96 in 2024 through, let's see, July 1st of 2024 through June 30th of 2025. So instead of us paying them back, they are going to just do deductions on our gaming.
Sounds convenient. Yeah, we overpaid you, so we're just not gonna give you any money.
Yeah, that's what they said. Pretty much, you're not getting no more money until this $926 or $928 is, taken care of. And that was for a year, so we're not gonna get our gaming money for a year.
What, did they say what the issue was?
Just overpayment, oh, they had, accounting system program error related to the IGDs,
It's like a Monopoly card.
Sounds like their problem. Doesn't sound like
which
that, sounds
increased
like a
state
problem.
video gaming by taxing 1% beginning July 1st. I don't know, I'm just,
It's news to me.
yeah. You don't wanna see it,
Anybody else? Okay, new business? Okay, how about engineer update?
Alright, water treatment plant's coming along, we've got major equipment that has been installed. A few setbacks on some manufacturing delivery, issues, one with magnetic meters and one with automated valves. Looks like the problem is being sorted and moving forward, but it tends that this overall problem with the manufacturing of specific parts that go into the water treatment system may prolong the finish date, to the end of June, is what we're seeing proposed right now. Tomorrow morning, we have a meeting with the manufacturing rep to go over these items and their new delivery dates, for what was mismanufactured and shipped. The rest of the water treatment plant, as we've gone along, the borings have been installed to the existing water treatment plant. Interconnect has happened, we're a little ways off, of course, because of equipment, manufacturing delays before we'll be test firing and starting up the new plant. On another note, not moving off of that, from the water treatment plant, your water, lead service replacement, we have 9 more services left to go, with Peter tentatively starting about the 9th of March, but with the extra weather that we've had in rainfall, it may be a slight delay pushing them towards the end of the week or the first of the next week. I don't see that, they will go over their contract allotted time for completion, which is, I think by the 1st of May, to complete the rest of their services that are needed. Mr. Mayor, if you would, if you'd like for me to just jump down and go down into the action as far as what we have at the water treatment plant that has been brought to the board. With the water treatment plant, we've had 2 incidences with the painting contract. First and foremost would be the epoxy flooring on the main water treatment plant floor. We had asked the building contractor and his subcontract if they would tentatively look at phasing the painting of the floor to only allow paint where the vessels would be sat, and then let the rest of the construction of the whole entire building be done at a later date, and for them to come back at the very end and actually finish up the epoxy floor. That resulted into basically about a 50% extra over the top of the original contract price, which was roughly about $40,000. So they had about a $20,000 upcharge to phase us into 2 phases. We had expressed that with this size of equipment coming in, there probably would be damage to the floor and that touch-ups would be necessary. So with that said, the general contractor, as far as moving the equipment, facilitated a crane and an air caster to lessen the impact on the floor, which still did result in final movement of a few more spots on the floor. Before we got to the equipment set and the actual epoxy flooring being completed, the process requires that the floor gets abraded or roughed up to get good adhesion. This product has a 10-year warranty as a minimum. What they have put down, Momeed, a 10-year warranty, but the manner at which when they strip the surface of the concrete, they should have required an inspection or a stop between the subcontractor and the building contractor. No notice was given to the engineering firm or anyone from this village that the contractor was going to work through the weekend without further inspection to do their full coating process on the floor, which resulted into a Monday morning inspection by me to a very tighter stripe floor due to the shot braid and the actual top cream layer of the concrete. I've ran into this before with building contracts in other states with epoxy flooring of the same manner from Sherwin-Williams, which usually results into a rep coming out to your actual area to view how the floor was prepped and the product was applied. We had that initial meeting. There was some comment from Sherwin-Williams representative that there were a few areas in the concrete that might have been rough, and they had asked the contractor if they had reached out to the engineering firm to say, hey, we've got an issue with some of our concrete in these areas, in which they did not. So as we furthered through our inspection, Jack had said, hey, this isn't exactly how I wanted the floor. I didn't imagine it to be tiger striped. And I said, Jack, typically, no, it would not have been. I expected a higher level of finish for concrete prep before the epoxy was fully finished and cured with a walkout with no inspection. We tried to deal with the building contractor as far as what he may have for touch-ups, or if he has a recommendation for something that would be a better quality product to be able to overcoat or fix his repairs that would be necessary on the floor or hide the striping. Of course, that resulted into a similar product that we've already put down with a epoxy flake like you have here on this floor, which that extra that has been given to the council to review, I believe was somewhere in the neighborhood of about $15,000 on an overage for them to actually apply that type of flooring, which has a little higher warranty than what we've got. It is the contractor's right to offer that to us. I am in disagreement with his means and methods. That's why I have asked you guys to review and to find out your feelings on this. I'm sure if I had a conversation with your city lawyer, by the time that we would typically try to press any type of charges or go to a stalemate or hit for some type of liquidated damages, I don't think he would result much other than a nasty hold up to the job. But that is you guys' decision on how far you would like to take it. right now, the option is to, add or touch up to the flooring as it is. The tiger striping will not leave, they will not do a recode, and it would not affect anything or take away those problems. What they would be taking away is the caulking that I had, taken pictures of and pointed out to them, that's air bubbles that's been being released from the bottom of the concrete, which total concrete was cured. The brake test came back perfect, so sometimes you will get some outgassing, which will create some air bubbles that they'll have to touch up. The rest of the scratches and anything else from equipment moving, they know that they have to touch that up as well. So what we'll be left with is a floor that is coated for the 15-year warranty. It will not have any product soaked into it because it's capped and it's sealed. However, the final effect or product, finish-wise, will still have the tiger striping, but it would be less of any void scratches or nicks. The area around the floor drain in question, that is probably the worst part, was not shot abraded at the time of my inspection. When they were doing the subsurface, that half of the building was not done. Of course, that was all done with the following Monday. The original pictures around the floor drain, it was a hand finish into an overhead door area, which is pretty typical that you might get some undulation, not much more than about 1/4 of a half an inch. They hand pitched that down to promote proper drainage in that area. Of course, when they shot abraded and they coated, from the hand finishing not being a power type trowel finish, you have a difference in density in the top cream surface. So when you go to shot abrade and get your final prep, you may be taking chunks of the floor or making that problem or the waves or undulation in the flooring worse. So what resulted in that area, the shot abrading that they did to prep for the floor, took more of the surface that was there and left a rougher finished surface. I had asked the general contractor that was doing the floor if they would come back and hand grind or diamond grind those areas, and he said he would not, and that was the best that area was going to get. I disagreed with him there. The building contractor backed up his subcontractor at that point, and that's why we approached you guys with the extras and where we stand as far as the product was applied correctly. The means and methods of the shot abrasion could have been done to a higher standard by the subcontract, but there's really no evidence there that states that they did not do their due diligence. We just expected out of that price range, since there was no other line item to specify what grading, if they ran into issues with subsurface defects after they shot abraded, how much further they would need to go. Typically, they should have alerted the building contractor, which should have alerted the general contractor and got back to us in the same manner, but without the potentiality of an extra or cutting, I guess, an extra cost in half, I would say.
Anybody, any questions?
I have some questions.
Sure.
So whenever the bid was given to us and we accepted who we were using, were these subcontractors even mentioned?
No, the building contractors who is mentioned, at the time of bid and the bid tabulation, and notice of award, you would turn around and actually reveal what subs you're using within that package to get your final result. So no, we did not know of that flooring contractor at the start of the job.
I think that that's an issue in itself with that company, with who we contracted.
And that's left, in that aspect, it's allowable for the building contractor to have sub-selection, because it's not technically covered through the IEPA loan. We have to use someone that is within those standards. Typically, when we deal with projects, we're dealing with concrete contractors, people that have dealt with usually IEPA projects, mechanical contractors. Very rarely do we get into building contracts unless there's like a well house or a pump house like we're doing in this situation. So those are usually lumped by IEPA ruling in those line items to just be the building, the flooring, and they're not as closely watched for the apprenticeship level and or the requirements that the rest of the IEPA job would be held to.
And you also mentioned that They came on a weekend and worked, and you mentioned about the village, but we hired you to make sure that everything was taken care of, I believe, I mean, I would not know if someone's coming there to work. That's why we hire your company.
Correct, and that's where I've got a sticking point with the building contractor. Several attempts to try and find out his schedule and beat around the bush, and even force the general contractor to put more pressure on his building contractor to give notice, went unavailable. That is something that you can even ask Jack. Several times we had no clue, and we had several meetings leading up to this flooring, and even Jack didn't even know that they were working the weekend. No one had noticed that they were even in the building. The building contractor, his representative had let them in and told them to lock up when they were finished. With no notice or anything else. Surprise, here's your floor.
I don't think it should be another cost to the city. The amount that we have spent for this, and then to have, it does not look good. I'm not a person, I mean, for me to realize how bad it looks, it's bad. Because I do not have the knowledge in building like other people, but when I could see it, that's not good, I don't think.
Agreed.
Summary, long story short, the specs were followed, but it's really more a workmanship quality issue than it is product or specifications. So we have a floor that we're not happy with, that they installed basically without approval at the appropriate time. My understanding is we still have a retainer fee of about 25% of the job. So I guess my question is, why would we release the rest of the money for an inferior? It's a question of workmanship than it is product.
Correct.
So if we're not satisfied with the floor, the same as you would a house, I'm not paying the full amount if I'm not happy with it, and if they don't wanna fix it, they're not getting paid.
I understand, and that's why I wanted to come before the board and ask your opinions, because of all of this, I can't hold their retainage. I can force some certain outcomes, but to a certain extent. And with your blessing, I don't have a problem moving forward and putting that pressure on them. However, it may cause quite a bit of a stink between some of the contractors, but we're here for final product. My two stipulations to what you had said earlier, yes, the contractor did follow Sherwin-Williams procedures and protocol as far as application. However, none of us have X-ray vision. My problem with the whole ordeal is visually looking at the concrete. I would have never expected to see that type of result from shot abrasion or shot heating the floor. I've seen that done at least 10 or 15 different times in different buildings with a very similar product, if not the same product put down, and I've never seen striping like that, or what I would say is just low craftsmanship. But if he did have a problem, since they've been in business for supposedly 15 years, I would have assumed that as soon as you've ran the shot blaster through and you've got an issue that you know you can't cover up, where was the call to someone even on a weekend? Or back to the guy that's hired you to be part of your contract, your building contractor.
Partially it falls on whoever let them in after hours without permission too. That's ultimately, their workmanship is an issue, but it's also an issue of who gave them access to the building when they probably shouldn't have been in there working at that time.
And at that same time, the call had come out to the building contractor, hey, finish up setting your doorways, finish up your openings, get all your lock sets on, make sure that the building's lockable. That has been an ongoing fight since pretty much the start of this project with the building contractor. I don't speak poorly about contractors, however, if it has been a cat and mouse chase for the majority of the project, I will hold nothing back.
Cause it's a lot of money for
I
a
agree.
workmanship issue that makes me, and believe me, I am not a contractor knowledgeable by any stretch of the imagination. But I would think there has to be a reason why they would wanna do it on a weekend when nobody can really kinda see it being done.
They claim that their process is that they got somehow a short start. I saw them there on the following Monday, but by the time that they shot a braid and they put the seal coat on, and then they actually started applying the 3-layer system with the top coat, they have 24 hours in between each one. So somehow there was coordination to where they weren't there between one day. If you go over 24 hours, then they had to regrind the whole floor and then start over with that buildup of the layer, almost just the same way that you do automotive paint. You have to stay within a time frame for it to adhere to each layer to the next.
Wasn't there something brought up about the time frame of the concrete? How there was supposed to be a time limit of how long the concrete set before they started the process?
28 days is the minimum time set for
Did
curing.
they follow along with that?
Yes, we were almost 90 days in from actual pour date to the time at which they started coating. So we had plenty enough time.
For all the gas to,
Yeah, and you will still get some of it. You won't stop all of it. It's just concrete. The thing that we did not know was the condition at which could be potential in the floor drain area, just because of the difference in running a power trowel, which puts more pressure onto the top surface, which abrades harder, and gives you a sort of finished spray. See less tiger striking in the back of the building, and more of it towards the front center bay as you open up that front door.
Well, cause I know the three of us went out and talked, and I don't wanna put words in Jack's mouth, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Jack seemed to be the impression that they should have known pretty quickly when they started doing the work,
That it wouldn't
that it
ever
wasn't
work.
right.
Yeah.
That it met specs, but, you know, he didn't say that it was done kind of, you know, they knew it, but it was kind of the cheaper version, they didn't wanna change it, so it was easier just to do it and kind of be done with it, but they kinda should have known that there was a problem right off the bat.
Going forward on any of my other projects with the local contractors that I have encountered within central Illinois, I think every spec that I would put in would be an epoxy flake. It would be a much costlier system, but you have fewer chances for this type of failure to actually happen, or a workmanship issue that is going to cause a problem to hold up or a dispute.
So what are our remedy options, and as the overall company overseeing this, what's your position?
Well, as far as what the board's general position is that you guys are fine with where the value is right now. We can have them touch it up and have them leave it as the same finish that it is, only require them to do the touch-ups. If they want to put any more in there, I don't know, off of my experience, even if they were to go in there and try to grind down the floor, put the same coat of the same material on that they got, it's still going to show a high-low surface. You're still gonna have a striping within there.
Well, Jack said there's also spots they can't do now, like underneath the two twin.
Correct.
So you're gonna have two different colored floors at two different levels.
And it was exactly what we had asked them to do beforehand. Paint underneath the tank area, leave everything else open, let everything else get done and processed, come back in and final paint to where they had more time, they had more heat in the building, they had better conditions for them to actually work into. However, I would say patch the floor as it is. Run it like it's already been run, it's got a warranty on it. If it doesn't meet the warranty spec, yeah, it may not look the best, but if we add any type of flake, I don't know of any contractor that's gonna jump up and say, hey, I'm just gonna do this for free, or I hold their money and I say, this $15,000 extra between the concrete contractor, the building contractor and the flooring contractor, you all three need to share in what would be $5,000 in trade cost, and come back in and epoxy this floor with what you've offered, in the extra, is my next step. And those are my wanted, the lesser of the option, without going to suit, would be just patching the floor as it is. The result I would like to get is for them to share in kind, between all those crafts that were involved with the flooring to cover the cost.
What about the retainer? Keep
whereas that.
We hold the retainer, as of right now, if they share in kind and they do their due diligence, then we release retainage. If they don't, then I would say, hey, your retainage is at stake because you did not meet all the specifications or the final results that are, in the specification book.
You mentioned, making the building lockable, okay? When it came to our attention the same night, 3 of us went out and looked at the floor. The building was not locked up. One of the doors was missing, covered with plastic, and 2 of the doors were unlocked, and the roll-up door was, that's how we actually got into the building.
Just do the roll
It
door.
was through the roll-up door. None of it was locked. I mean, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that you mentioned it as part of what they were supposed to be doing, and that didn't get done either.
Yeah, those are all responsibilities and due diligence of the building contractor. That's separate of the general. That's why the general's mechanical contractor. He's there to do the filtration and process piping, all the mechanical controls. The building contractor himself takes care of anything carpentry wise, lock set, any of our finished details, just to get a finished building for us. So on that note, yes, it has been pounded, not just lightly said, it has been pounded into that project manager back and forth for months about the security of that building.
Yeah.
It is now all thresholds, door sweeps, lock sets are put on, and he is moving forward with more fervent pace. However, it still doesn't alleviate what we've got in the floor.
In the floor, right.
So the big chunks of concrete that's out on the floor where they dropped something, or did you see them?
Yeah, that was from moving the
Is that
stage.
gonna affect the warranty in the long run, when they go in there and
They
just
told me-
refill them, or?
Well, and to answer that, they told me, cause I'd asked that, I said, cause by you guys doing this, and if you do get a scratch on the floor, as they move equipment, then you are responsible for the repair and the warranty or anything else, so yes, the building contractor and the general contractor get to share in whatever it costs for them to get that repaired, and still honor the warranty from Sherwin-Williams. If they do not, then we'll have a re-inspection from Sherwin-Williams on every patch and repair that is going on in that floor.
So what do you need from us to approach them about sharing the cost to basically fix their workmanship and?
I needed your blessing first, and to bring it to your attention. And I apologize that I was not able to make some of your committee meetings. I've got another project that hits at the same time. I wanted to bring this up sooner, but we were back and forth in negotiation, with this. But what I have now is your blessing to move forward to hold them accountable on several different means. And I think what I need to do is have a fervent conversation with them, to get them involved and see what their final decision would like to be. And if I need any more help from you guys, I will address the board and we will move forward. But it's not exactly a fast process. It doesn't need to happen now. I just wanna get it before we get ready to close and make sure that we have the correct closing.
And then this payment that you're asking for tonight,
Correct?
is that for that?
No,
But
this was
different.
Verdict process piping, there's the aerator, controls that got set in and process piping mainly. Right now, I've got them held up at, I think they're at 75% on building, was my last, was the last time that I talked to them, and I said not until we get all these issues, totaled up. I'm still holding retainage in it, and the general got a little upset because I'm already holding $253,000 on the whole project, which is still holding retainage on the building, but I've decided to hold additional until we started moving forward and got action.
What is the name of the building contractor?
Oh, you would ask me that. It is Sullivan Contractors.
Sullivan Contractors?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to motion to approve an invoice of the water treatment plant. Verdict Heating and Plumbing, pay app 12, $244,916. Chastain's invoice 68, $12,201.16. Total $257,117.16.
I'll make the motion to pay the two of them for the total amount.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Porter,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Palmer.
He said yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
He said yes.
Okay, moving on to motion to approve street closure for Assumption Fest, May 21st through the 23rd, 2026.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Palmer,
I'm gonna abstain.
Nelson,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Motion to approve temporary liquor license for Assumption Fest.
I'll make the motion.
I'll
second.
Nelson,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Palmer.
Also abstain on that one also.
Motion to approve $2,000 for advertising for Assumption Fest.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Porter, Sullivan,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Nelson, Bradshaw,
Yes.
Palmer.
Oh, good.
Before we move on, Bill, on the next one, and I know there's still a lot going on, like Steven trying to figure out, all this guy, but do we need to start thinking of how we wanna handle that building with the social fence and a plan B with that being the way it is, if it doesn't go through and he doesn't get that taken care of?
Last year we had, well, exactly the same way it is now.
Yeah.
Only thing we could do, we could, tape it off, put the signs back, make sure they stand, and
I mean, we don't have to figure anything, we may wanna be thinking of plan B if it doesn't go through, to try to make sure everybody's safe as possible.
yeah, we probably had to block that all off. Okay. Any more? Motion to approve purchase of generator for the street shed.
There's no dollar amount on there.
Yeah. He never did get me though.
No dollar amount or size
Yeah.
No.
I mean, generally, to vote on something, we should have a dollar amount or an M2 amount. I would say table that one. Unless somebody wants to make a motion.
Okay, motion to approve purchase for a lawnmower for Baxmeyer subdivision for exceed $10,000.
I got a question on that. Is that just to mow the grass part out front, Donnie, or Bill, do you know? or-
Well, way I understand, and I may not be right, that 10,000 was supposed to cover the chopper too. So it'd be covering both of them, the mowers. The mower, the lawnmower will do the front and probably
The tractor?
along the side of the roads but, the chopper or the bush hog will cover
The lot.
back part of the lots.
So with our zero turn out there, we couldn't mow that front half with that?
I don't see why we can't, but
I mean,
I think what he was concerned about was how rough it was, that he wanted something that was,
more efficient,
yeah,
more cushy.
well, more, I don't know. I just remember he was talking about how rough it was up there, that it
Yeah.
would tear out that motor pretty quickly, and getting something that was.
well, I was told that they mowed it with a zero turn before up front. I mean, I don't know.
I've cut it with my mower and it's running on zero turn, but, and it's not that bad.
I mean, if you roll it a couple times, it would work out. I mean, I'm not against getting something for
Yeah.
it, don't get me wrong, but
if we have the lawnmowers out there, why can't we use, instead of buy lawnmowers?
I have no idea what they have out there. I have not even walked through that shed.
He mentioned why he wanted to get another one. I don't know if maybe it's because the one they have wouldn't be able to stand up to that because it's older. I don't remember now, Harvey.
You know, I just know we got that zero turn, I don't.
What budget line would these come out of? Is this TIF or is this streets or is this general? Because honestly, we've got a fair amount of mowing equipment. If we add more mowing equipment and it comes out of streets or city, there's not much reason why we should be contracting out mowing at $10,000 to $12,000 a year if we've got all this mowing equipment. We can start mowing our own if we're gonna buy all this extra equipment.
Definitely, yes.
Cause then you'll have the equipment to mow any type of surface, so.
Instead of spending money to other people, our people could be doing the
One
same.
year you have that mower, $18,000.
I mean, unless you take it out of TIF and it's specifically.
Well, I thought he was
for
talking about taking it out of that equipment, that's how the savings account
Savings account.
still came up,
So
that he
it's
was talking
basically
about taking.
city,
Right,
it's general, it's more or less general fund, just divided out in the account.
That pull behind, I had a Village of Mowequa worker. They got 2 6-foot 3-point finishing mowers up there that they did not use. One was a 95 and one was a 2001. They said the 2001, like brand new, it's dirty, you know, that goes in second. And they're possibly gonna sell it. But, I mean, I don't know how big of a one you guys would, they need out there. 6 foot would be all right, I would think.
Well, he said depend on the horsepower on the tractor that they have for
Yeah.
that 3-point. So it'd be something we could discuss with him, and
Right.
that is a good idea.
I mean, you can get with, I can give you that guy's name that got with me, he told me about him, you guys can go out there and talk to him, but instead of going out and spending almost $10,000 on something, we might wanna look into this, you know.
I think it's 10,000 plus the chopper.
it is.
I think it's,
That's what I
think it's two,
I think it's two different prices.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's the good thing, we ain't mowing for probably another month, so it's not like we can't table this till.
And he did mention that they could get that roller from township maybe and roll that front part to make it smoother, but
I'm sorry, I may not say his name right, is it Lane?
Yeah, Steven.
Is he still working?
Mm-hmm.
And does he plan to still work, would he work more hours in the summer?
I don't know about.
I mean, because we can't forget they have duties that they don't have to do, our city, so I
Yes.
didn't know if we wanted to,
I think he'll work as much as they'll money.
So I figured, so to keep him from being full-time at $17 an hour, 30 hours a week from basically May through, Labor Day through Memorial Day. I got that backwards. Memorial through Labor Day. It actually comes out to close to $8,000 in salary, and we paid $10,000 to have the mowing done last year. So you're saving a little bit.
Well, he's already working those in that January, cause he was helping with the, summer rec. Last year he did half day of summer rec and half day of the city.
He's still working part-time now,
I don't know how
a
much.
few hours a week,
I don't know. It just seems,
yes.
I've asked this since day one that I've been on the board, why, you know, and it was always just a question of manpower, but basically you'd have to have a person doing all of it. That'd be about.
And then if you get high school help, I mean, you could devote, you know, if you get 2 of them, have one devote to mowing.
Can they do mowing if they're under 18 though?
maybe 18.
Why? They drive the city vehicles, what's the difference between a city
I don't think,
vehicle
I have to agree with Angel, I don't
and
think
a
so. I think
lawnmower?
I
I
think,
think they
yeah.
can use under, like, as long as it wouldn't take something that would require, you know.
Like CDL or something
CDL,
like that,
yeah,
or
Yeah.
something
like a road
license.
grader, the big trucks or something.
And there's-
Yeah, I don't think that they could. I mean, I worked for a company, a government company, when I was mowing at 16.
When Herbie was younger, when we worked for the city, he got to know.
Yeah.
I don't know what all he has where this money comes from, cause we're gonna have to do Walnut Street, and you talk about the backhoe needing service and all that, so I'm just thinking, if we got this equipment, then why can't we just use that stuff? That's my thought.
So your option is you can throw it out there to see if anybody makes a motion, or it can sit and we can talk about it in 2 weeks at committee, or it's on the agenda, so you can
Talk
call it.
about a cow meeting or next, okay.
I table if you can, get more info.
That's like, the grass seed. I haven't talked to anybody about spreading some grass seed.
Well, I don't wanna be the man that talks about everything, but I did talk to John Hohouse. He said if we did get the grass seed, he would plant it for free. So, that's just what he said, so.
This is another one of those where there's no dollar
Right.
amount.
Well,
So I hate voting on an open-ended thing.
but on the grass seed, we should make that the amount that we originally was going to pay, and then that person didn't get it completed, so they didn't take that pay, like, we already had that in that TIF.
We had like $2,400 left over that TIF, and surely grass to be, it's not gonna cost
Yeah,
that
cause
much
we
money.
had put the
And then we
money
should be able
out.
to take that out of TIF.
Yeah,
And you could approve it now with your own limitation on it.
cause we had put it out, but then I think technically the money's just sitting out there, cause we had already
it's in-
approved it
It was
once.
already approved,
So we just need to reapprove
but
it.
was it in,
I would say that you'd have to reapprove it and then put the amount out there, like,
was it in
I don't
the
know how much-
final loan? Was it in the
Yeah.
final loan?
Mhm.
We didn't subtract that from the
No.
loan, I don't know, cause I
It
know.
no, because it was transferred over to the TIF account. We closed the Baxmeyer account and put the money into TIF.
Yeah, so
What was
the
left?
money for the grass seed is not included in the loan because you couldn't put things in the loan unless it was actually paid.
It was paid and they didn't do it, so
They
then
didn't,
they
right.
reimbursed us, that's why the $2,400 was still left in there.
Okay,
So I think we could make it that amount,
yeah, just make a motion to pay it up to that.
Is that
amount.
enough money? For grass seed, I don't know what it costs.
Just don't make it look too good, they're gonna be digging one of these days.
Hopefully,
Well,
it's
it's like,
across.
you're only gonna have
Yeah.
a dollar amount of what was pre-approved, so.
and then, the only thing I wanna say about the whole mowing situation, we don't wanna keep putting it off though, because we cannot expect, we've been very fortunate that we had people that volunteered their time to mow out there, we can't do it a second year.
No.
So,
Once it starts growing, it's not gonna stop. And that first time, it was pretty tall.
and we were very fortunate that you went out, I believe Danny Davis went out, and I believe John Hillhouse went out, and those people volunteered, they weren't paid.
This is why you have a contractor, because a developer or a contractor is responsible for this, not the city.
But it is,
But this was before,
but it is city owned now, so.
I know it's
we-
city owned, but I'm just saying, this is why, this is
Do we
why.
know
this-
what it would cost to bid it, or get bids on it, to see what it would cost to mow it? You know, through Kurt or Barnes or,
I have no idea.
Way up there.
Nobody ever, I don't think anybody ever asked.
It'd probably be $1,000 a month,
probably more than that.
close now, yeah.
It'd be more
There's
than
10 point some acres.
It'd be more than
It was
$1,000.
$12,000 to
That's
mow all
cheap
the
side.
city stuff last year.
I mean, this is what we paid in football field.
And, 3 ponds out there.
I just didn't.
Well, because that's gonna have to be mowed a lot more, at least
Oh,
probably
yeah.
every couple of weeks. It's not gonna be able to go for, like the sewer ponds go for like a month at a time, you're not gonna be able to do that out there.
No.
Especially if you're wanting to sell a lot, you gotta keep it nice.
Why didn't they, I don't know, maybe they talked about, why didn't they ever just grade those lots down? Like till it or whatever when they, once they got all this stuff in, why didn't they ever flatten all that out so it was,
They took a scraper and they scraped
Well,
A lot of hills down, but there's still a couple of hills.
I asked Mark Bingham about the hills, and he told me the reason why they left the hills there is because when people start building, they might need extra dirt.
Yeah.
So they left the hills there for them to have that little bit of extra dirt.
Sucks for mowing.
Yeah.
It just,
But they smoothed it out so you can mow over it.
I do have one other question about the subdivision, because the loan was closed out, but wasn't in the original plan to put like sidewalks and stuff out there? So will that just be TIF
No.
money? No?
That's the home
No,
builder's
that's-
responsibility. That's part of their building is sidewalks.
For them to put in the
even the
sidewalks?
front, oh yeah, because they have to do that, and it has to be up to our, up to the specs that are in the building,
Driveways and
Thank you.
sidewalks is the builder's responsibility.
and they have to be concrete.
And does that say who has to be the one to do it?
Has to be
The
the city,
concrete, cause we
No.
just said tonight,
has to be the city code, so it would
That's the
be.
city sidewalk though.
but that would
That
be a
will be
city
s-
sidewalk out there as well.
So it'd be city code, so they'd still have to do it to the same specifications as the
But
sidewalks.
she's asking this contractor, does it have to be a certain contractor, because you're telling everybody in town.
Town that they
use a
have to
certain
use, and then
contractor.
you're saying that they're responsible for it out there? That doesn't even make, that's kind of contradicting itself.
So they're responsible for paying for it and putting it in, but it has to be at city code. City code is you.
City's not gonna pay for any of it.
Yeah, so
They
the
have
city
to pay for it
code
all.
specifies.
I mean, yeah, it's part of the discussion because people, I mean, the board at the time was wanting to make cuts. I mean, I think originally we were going to add a sidewalk all the way across. Then it got to where we didn't wanna do that because when a contractor would come in, they would bust the sidewalk up.
Yeah.
So then that's when we decided to do our own, you know, each individual person would do their own on it, so.
'Cause you have
And,
to-
and also back to, you also have to pay prevailing wage, because it's a 50-50. That's part of it too, on getting its own city contractor for it, so.
And one of the problems with sidewalk was you had two choices, so all the houses aren't gonna be built at the same time.
Right.
Mhm.
So you either wait till all the houses are done and put sidewalks in at the city's expense, or you do them as the houses are built. The empty lots don't need sidewalks. So, and if we can't, we either have to do it at the beginning and then they're gonna get trashed, or we wait and do it at the end. Well, your last 2 or 3 houses may never be built, or they may not be built for 15 years. Everybody else
Yeah.
doesn't wanna wait for a sidewalk in front of their house and just have this.
But that's in the specs, they have to do it.
I mean, from what I remember, it wasn't that we had a contractor that we had to use, it had to be a contractor approved from the city. And Darren said there was 1 or 2 people he likes to use, cause he knows their worth. So as long as they get approval and that person that's gonna do the concrete is approved, then that's fine. Cause that's what Darren's whole thing is, he wanted to make sure that the person that was gonna do was also approved from the city, probably by him or someone else that knows that is approved, and not just letting Joe Schmo come in there and doing that.
So the home builders are told that when they first,
Yeah, it's in a folder, it's in the
It's in the
packet,
folder?
yeah.
Okay.
You want one consistent, you don't want 6 different, cause like Darren was saying, some of the contractors use different rock amounts, some
Right,
use
right.
different thickness, there's no consistencies.
Yeah.
What do you guys wanna do about the grass one?
Do we know what that was, or you just wanna pick,
But
Motion
either
or
put
s-
$2,400 or $2,500 down for the grass seed.
Somebody just needs to make a motion
Make
to
one,
do it.
yeah, for an amount. It was like $2,400 and some dollars, but just do $2,500. It's all gonna come out tip.
Alright, I'll make a motion to approve $2,500 for grass seed after subdivision.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Porter,
yes,
Sullivan,
Yes.
Walden.
yes,
Okay. Discussion action as necessary on 213 Center Street.
So we got a judgment against, David Riley, he now owes the city $50,000. for accumulated penalties, and he has an order to abate the nuisance. He has 2 weeks to accomplish that. If after 2 weeks, the city doesn't think he's been making adequate progress, the city can step in and do it, at his expense. If we ever track him down and he has, the money to do that. But the point is that, judgment was entered on the 10th. On the 24th of February, so you have till the 10th, and then the city can take over. So I'm throwing that out because as of the 10th, you will be in a position to get in there and fumigate it and do whatever needs to be done to take care of it.
So we have once the 10th, we have the authorization to enter the property as needed.
Yep. I'll do it with police escort. I don't, I don't expect Riley to be around or have any clue what's going on, but, we served him by publication because there's no idea where he's at or track him down.
And or to sell it?
Well, at this point, we don't have that, but we will, take the lien against the property for both the judgment amount and the, whatever the city ends up spending on it, and then, we can foreclose that lien and take title of the property. Unless somebody purchases taxes or.
Excuse me, I do have a question about that exact scenario. So as we've collectively discussed in the past, that place was up, for a tax lien. A person was already, had went through that whole process, and then as of October last year, that process completed, and then that ownership would transfer sometime early this year. So if that is the case, if somebody did purchase it via taxes, and that you've went through this whole process, what would be the next steps there?
Well, the lawsuit has been pending, since, I guess it's 2025. Depends on when the taxes were purchased. Assuming, because we had a title work done just before we did this, so assuming that happened after the complaint was filed, then they were on notice that the complaint was pending. So their taxes should be subject to our lien and our judgment.
Gotcha.
But certainly, knowing that, we'll follow up on the tax purchaser and let them know that that's what's going on now. It might be the simplest way to do it is, hey, we've got, this is gonna happen, if you wanna come in, have title of the property, clean it up the way the city doesn't have to, and we won't get in your hair about title or these other liens we have. But, it kinda depends on what the tax purchaser wants to do.
I see. Thank you for sharing.
So that's all I had on Sarah, unless there's any other questions.
We'll move on here to motion to approve continuing education for police officer not to exceed $500.
So that's just, be for Kevin. It'll be it's like a leadership course, but it counts for hours for training. The cost on it, I think I just looked yesterday, was like $350, so we just put the 500 on there. It's a really good class, a bunch of leadership, guys from every department around the state go to it. It's a 2 or 3 day class. So it's just gonna continue education, build those relationships, and the knowledge, especially if you get the point as chief, it'll help them with that, and it goes towards the chief hours as well. That's mandated by the state, so, like I said, I think it was $325 or $350, but I just, put 500 on there just in case the cost fluctuated or whatever between now and then, so.
I'll make the motion for the continuing education up to $500.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, motion to approve resignation of police chief.
What happens if we say no? We got
Like I said, Justin, it's a formality. You can deny it, I guess.
When does your resignation officially take effect?
Today.
Today?
Yeah, so I ran it to today, and then I drill and I start counting on Monday. So,
hesitantly, I will make the motion to approve the resignation of our police chief, who, by the way, for my own part, I wanna say you've done an excellent job for the city.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
I know Derek and I did the interviews, and, I more than confidently think we selected the right person.
Thank you, appreciate it. Means a lot.
So,
What is your next steps?
I start Christian County full-time on Monday.
Awesome.
So I got hired
Congratulations.
there Part-time in October, and then accepted a full-time position, so.
Awesome.
You guys still see me, just be in different capacity.
Closing over a different street.
I'll second.
Swayze. Bradshaw,
Yes.
Nelson,
yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Porter,
With great regret,
yes. Sullivan,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
So will you, Seth, will you turn all your equipment and keys and everything?
Yeah, everything's turned in.
Kevin's on.
Turn on, yep, it's all there. Get Kevin the rest of my keys and stuff. I'm gonna drop squad off tonight, but everything's cleaned out and squared away.
Okay, make a motion to approve and appoint, police chief.
No name on there.
Captain Hughes.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Palmer,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Porter,
yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
I think I asked Kevin if he wanted the police chief
Was they
position.
even asking if you wanted it?
I forgot to
Kevin
ask
asked
that
too
too.
many
I forgot to mention that
questions.
too.
He asked at gunpoint. Kevin, if you
Too
walk
late now,
up here,
Kevin.
we will swear you in. Repeat after me. I. Your name, please. Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear
That I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and that will faithfully discharge the duties of Chief of Police
I will faithfully discharge the duties of Chief of Police
to the best of my knowledge, ability.
of my ability.
Welcome, sir.
I do have a question.
Oh. You're almost out of here.
I do have a question.
Technically, you're not actually on duty for Assumption or Christian County either one till Monday, right?
Yeah. I got a drill. I'll get it. You won't see me
If
for
I
Monday.
pass you on the highway, I'm not swinging.
I'll be a drill, sorry. Still on the books for Kincaid though, so you gotta watch it over there.
Okay, any,
I have a question, that obviously means that we're probably gonna have to hire, police officers, so we
Yes.
probably will have to put a thing out there. But I was hoping that, when it comes time to interview people, Seth and Kevin, I would hope Seth would come back and help interview.
Absolutely, I can do that.
Seth has volunteered to help me.
I remember I went to the interview, I helped it one night because someone else couldn't be there. And I think you have more knowledge than me, if I was doing that again.
Yeah, we can make that work.
I would appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Not for us, but.
we have maybe one person so far.
We may have some avenues that we
Yes.
may not have to post it, which if we
I
don't have.
think you have to post, I think that's.
Yes.
You have to post it, don't you?
I think you have to.
Not for,
Cause you're not
It's at
filming
will, I
internal.
mean, we didn't really post, at one point, when we had DJ,
yeah.
we did post.
It's,
And I
you
use
don't-
the at will terminology.
You don't necessarily have to. You can-
Yeah,
it's not a contractor type position, so it can be, if we have somebody, we can fill.
Yeah, so just like Derek said, since it's at will, there's no union, so you don't have to abide by union rules. So
Okay.
union, if somebody leaves, they have to post it for whatever time
Right,
frame.
right.
and they can ultimately select whoever they want off that list.
But if you do have leave, you're welcome.
But
Well, when you find out who the chairman is, and all these things are, because it says in some of the handbook, it says a chairman, or in the ordinances, it says a chairman. You've never given out who chairmans are.
I've never ever seen all the chairmen.
We would still technically have a chair.
We
I mean,
kept them when we did
Well,
the
we,
house.
yeah, when we did Cal, I mean, my thought process behind that was like, if there was like ever issues with like a certain department, like the police, then that person can go and handle that issue and then bring it, so that's why we kept him in there, in the ordinance.
I'd imagine.
Because it does say in the ordinance, the chairperson, so
Yeah.
Bill needs to decide on who he wants to
Are
be
these-
chair for these.
Were all 6 of us on the board when we still had them?
Yeah, all 6 was a chairman of something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, the current assembly of, this. group,
Everybody but these,
Probably Ricky and Herbie maybe?
Kim, was you ever
Yeah, she was a part.
assigned?
I was part.
So, yeah, so those two.
So it just.
So they
becomes
just, maybe just take over whoever,
Whatever ones that, their
Yeah.
districts, whatever.
that's, yeah, it's posted on a board, the chairman, or, I think it's still hanging up there in the gym, I swear I just seen it.
Yeah, I don't think it is anymore.
Oh, it's not anymore? Oh,
I cleaned it out
I
the
thought I
other
just, oh, okay.
So I got, like, printed.
Yeah, I have, who else?
Anybody else got anything?
yeah, I got a couple things, if you guys don't mind. A couple projects I wanted to see before I left. Our taser contract that you guys approved before I got here, it's like $14,000, which is already paid for. We got almost 10 grand of that back 6 months ago. We keep getting equipment from Taser, so I reach out to those guys. They send us cartridges. We don't tase that many people. We haven't tased anybody since I've been here. So there's no need for a small department to continue to receive all this equipment that we're probably never gonna use. So I reach out to them. They're looking at rewriting the contract, so hopefully we can get some money back for the next 3 to 4 years. That was a 6-year contract. It was 5 or 6 years. So, gave Kevin all that info. The new squad car is done as far as outfitting. Kevin's driving that, silver one. I got him in contact with Dynagraphics, which you guys already approved, I think a couple meetings ago for the graphics, so they have to come down, measure, take pictures, and then graphics will be put on. And then I was able to secure 12 radios for the school at no charge to the city. Reached out to the state and they donated 12 radios, 18 batteries, and 2 docking stations, so that way the middle school has communications within, so that way they're not on their cell phones. A couple months ago, there was an emergency over there, and they were trying to radio out. They couldn't get out. Doug couldn't get out because of the service, and they were trying to call each other on cell phones. The principal, the cafeteria. So, reached out to the state, got 12 radios donated. Kevin got those today.
Yep, that went over those.
Dropped those off to the schools, so that was no cost to the city. So that should be good use for them. And then finally, I just want to say thank you guys for allowing me to be over here. I know I ruffle feathers. It is what it is. Comes with the job. I see it over a county still. People like police, people don't. But I just want to say thank you. Most of you guys are on the board. I got the department up to date with all the equipment, training. So the department should be set for years to come as far as vehicles, equipment. Got tasers. We got body cams are fairly new computers, so outfitted that. And then my goal every time I go somewhere is to leave the place better than I ever got there. I hope I left Assumption better than I ever got here. So once again, I just want to say thank you guys for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Seth.
Good job.
That's all I have.
Any further business? Meeting of the whole meeting will be held on Tuesday, March 17th, 2026 at 6 at City Hall, 229 North Chestnut. Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, roll call.
All A's?
Aye.